How's it going, everybody? Welcome to We Do Tech. Now, finding a good gaming headset under $100 has actually gotten really easy these days with just so many gaming headsets on the market these days. But finding the right one might be a bit more difficult. So let me see if I can help you guys with that, with the somewhat newer Cooler MAster MH650. The 650 is one of Cooler MAster's more mid-tier gaming headsets, and I have to say it does perform quite well. Now, starting off with the pricing, the 650 is retailing for around $90 on Amazon or around 1,400 Rand here in South Africa. For that $90, you do get a mostly plastic design with the ear cups being quite solid, but the headband being quite a bit thin. However, inside the headband, you do get a aluminum frame, which does allow the headset to bend and twist a good amount. The frame is able to adjust, but I did find that it needed a bit more pressure to extract and too little pressure to retract, where it was a bit finicky there. Now, I didn't have a problem once it was on top of my head where it adjusted on its own. It was pretty sturdy then, but I did find that it was a bit finicky. So that was the one issue that I had, and the other issue, which is also the last issue that I had, is that the ear cups do tend to swivel a bit too easily. You can just lift it up and it'll automatically swivel on its own, which is a bit too loose for me. I do like a bit more attention for my ear cups. Now, it shouldn't be too stiff, but yeah, this was a bit too loose. Just gravity would adjust it. Yeah, maybe you make it a bit stiffer for next time, but it's not that big of an issue. And like I mentioned before, that is the last issue that I had. But now, moving on from that, you do have all of your audio controls on the ear cups themselves. For the left side, you do have your volume wheel, which does have a good amount of rotation, the mic mute button, and the mic port. Then on the right side, you do get your virtual surround sound button, and then also your RGB control button as well. And yes, it wouldn't be a gaming headset without having RGB, and I have to say the RGB does look pretty good on this headset, and it's actually quite bright as well. If you do lower the lights a bit, it does shine quite bright. I did find that it does get a tiny bit hot around the ear cups. I didn't notice it on my ears, just to the touch with your finger. It's not that big of a deal, but yeah, it does look quite good. And again, you have all of your controls on the ear cup if you wanted to go through all of the controls. Now, it doesn't have a ton of different effects. It is a bit limited, but honestly, it's a gaming headset. It's going to be on top of your head. You're not always going to look at it. So just having a breathing effect, a steady single color effect, or a color cycle effect is just plenty good enough for me. But now, getting into the most important part about a gaming headset for me personally, and that is comfort. And I am extremely happy to say that the MH650s are extremely comfortable. Both the headband's padding and the ear cups cushions do have this extremely soft cloth fabric, which is honestly just very good, especially if you do have a beard, and some cloth fabrics do scratch against the beard. I didn't find that a problem at all. These are extremely soft, and you do have a bit more leather right on the inside of the ear cups, which is also softer on your ears. I do honestly like that. I was able to wear these for extremely a long time without any issues. They are honestly really good, and what makes it even better for me is that you guys probably know that I complain about this pretty much in every review, and that is that there's not enough padding against the driver wall. However, for the 650, Cooler MAster did add extra foam padding against the driver wall, which is just that tiny bit enough to make it that much more comfortable. So if you have the problem where your ears do scratch against the driver wall, which honestly can get so annoying, you don't have to worry about it for the 650, and that is why it's probably one of the most comfortable headsets that I have ever used. Also, because the ear cups are quite a bit large, there's enough space to fit your entire ear inside, which does make a much better seal around your ear, and that also makes it more comfortable, and then also it does improve the sound. Now, I did find that the noise isolation and sound bleed wasn't necessarily the best. It is going to be for more home use, so it's not going to be really a problem. But if you want to use it out in public, then yeah, it can get quite a bit loud volume wise. So yeah, people will be able to hear what you're listening to. However, that in turn also applies to the noise isolation, where you don't really hear that much going on around you. Now, as for climbing force, I did find that it's pretty much spot on in the middle there, where it's just enough not to crush your skull, but also just enough not to fall off your head with a small amount of head shakes. If you are going to headbang, then yeah, it is going to fall off, but it's pretty good. Now, getting into audio quality, I am also happy to say that Cooler MAster definitely stepped up their game here. I have tested some Cooler MAster headsets in the past, and they were okay, but with the 650s, they definitely did improve on that. With the 50mm neodymium drivers delivering really good sound and also a lot of output. The volume inside Windows for my use never went above 35%. That's pretty much how loud it is, except if I rested it on top of my neck, then I pumped it up a bit more to have more of that speaker type of effect, which also worked really well. The MH650 does have a frequency response ranging between 20 Hz to 20 kHz, and also has a well-balanced frequency range with no clear range really overpowering the others. The highs was super clear, it also had a nice full mids, and then the bass was just enough to have that tiny bit of a punch that you want for your headset without also being too much really. Now, as for gaming, the stereo surround was really good as well, with you being able to hear all of the footsteps around you, and also you do have that virtual 7.1 feature that if you wanted to enable, you can. Some people don't necessarily like it. I do find it that tiny bit helpful sometimes, so I use it and it did sound really good. And along with that, with the frequency range and also not being overpowered by any real frequency range, it did sound really good in games as well, with gunshots being that crispy, high, cracking sound, also the explosions being nice and punchy. Now, as for the MH650's microphone, you do get a detachable, bendable mic, and I'm currently recording into Streamlabs OBS. Nothing changed, everything is set on default. Also inside Windows, just on 100% max, and the active auto gain is also off. So this is how it sounded. It actually sounded pretty good from my testing. It doesn't pick up the pops that crazy. Now, if you are close by, then yeah, it is going to pick up that pops a lot easier. But if you just put it a bit away, it does actually sound really good. And I do have my PC running in the background. The fans aren't that loud, but I do have one of my lights up there around 2 meters away, which the fan is pretty loud, and from my testing I couldn't hear that as well, and the background noise was pretty silent. But now when typing on something like Cherry Mixer Brown switches, which isn't blues even, it does definitely pick that up if it is on your lap or like so on your table where it's supposed to be. So yeah, it doesn't cut out that, but voice quality is actually pretty good. Now, moving on towards the cable, you do get quite a long 2.2 meter braided USB cable, which powers the RGB and then also allow for the audio to pass through. So then in conclusion, I have to say originally I didn't expect the MH650s to fare this well. I didn't think it would actually be this good. Before their Cooler MAster's MH750 range, which I also still want to take a look at, their headset was okay for me. I did try out some of them and I wouldn't necessarily buy them for me personally, but I have to say that they definitely stepped up their game quite a bit with the 650 and also I believe the 750 as well, the ranges. So yeah, sound is really good, comfort is outstanding with this headset. And yeah, it looks pretty cool as well. The RGB is actually quite nice as well on the 650. So without a doubt, I can recommend the MH650 if you are looking for a headset below that $100 or 1,500 Rand price point. It's definitely worth checking out. And even though there are some other headsets there as well, I don't think you'll actually be disappointed if you do go for the MH650. Pretty much everything is good except the ear cups that swivels. That's the only thing. But that's pretty much it for my review. A big thanks to Cooler MAster South Africa for sending over the MH650 for this review. If you guys want to get it for yourself, I will leave links in the video description, and then I will check all of you guys next time. Cheers, guys.